Hello and welcome to Nonprofit Nuggets with Jennifer Yarbrough. I am super excited to be on this journey of discussing the nonprofit startup process. I know that for many leaders, the idea of starting the nonprofit begins with filing your paperwork. But as I've been sharing over the last couple of podcasts, I really want you to recognize that once you get that piece of paper, you've got to be prepared and ready to do the work, right? To do the work. So last time we talked about change, being very clear about what is the change that your nonprofit is going to bring to the community. Change in the lives of the homeless. Are you going to decrease homelessness? Are you going to increase the number of people who have a safe, secure housing, right? So you want to be able to um, to really focus on the change, and not only the change, but you want to know who's going to be involved with you in that process of change. Are there going to be partners? Are there going to be collaborators? Are there going to be other agencies? Are there going to be individuals? Are there going to be specialties that are going to need to be a part of your process, a part of your program to bring about the change in that audience, particularly if you are limited in experience and scope, but there's someone in your community that's doing that work. So change is going to be the thought process. You're thinking and strategizing about what change will look like. Your vision is the change, right? Your vision lays out the path of what the community will look like once they've come through your program. So you want to now lay out that clear path of change, which leads me to today's subject, which is clarity, right? Clarity. What I find is that many of you come to me and you're not really clear about what it takes to operate the organization. Many of you are focused on the program, right? You know what you want to do with the program. You know that you want to feed. You know you want to house. You know you want to clothe. You know you want to help and assist. But the clarity of how that's going to happen, what is it going to take? It's going to take resource. It's going to take materials. It's going to take supplies. Clarity around who's going to do the work and how long is this program going to last and when are you going to be able to measure change? Clarity brings you even to understanding what the budget is going to be. Clear about what are my expenses? What is my revenue potential? Clear about who are the people in my community that are on board with what we do, who are passionate about what we do. Clear about your messaging and your communications, understanding how to clearly articulate your vision and your vision of change. I tell you guys, I do this work, and one of the things that I help my leaders do is to become clear. Clear about who should be on your board. Clear about what their role and responsibility is in helping your organization become a beacon of hope and light in your community. Now, we know that we have our board meetings and they come into our board meetings possibly once a quarter. And they sit and they brainstorm, and we try to strategize and come up with a new idea. But I say that you want to be clear about your plan. Clear about what's going to happen in the first 30 days. Clear about what's going to happen in the next 60 days or 90 days. Clear about if we do this activity, what is it going to result in and what's going to be our goal. Clear about your goals. Clear about what it is that's going to take to help you reach those goals. You are more than a program that might happen, 2 or 3 times a month or a couple of times a week in the evening. You want to be clear about when you're not delivering your program, what change is happening, right? Clear about the people that come into your program, what their circumstances were, what their needs were, what got them to this place, and clear about what is your plan, your program, and strategy to move them out of where they are. That strategic change, clear about how to bring about that change. Okay? Clear about the path, the journey. How long is that going to take? Who's going to be involved in that process? I can tell you all that many of you are sitting right now frustrated. You're frustrated and you're stuck and you don't know why. You started your nonprofit and you're going to all these trainings, right? You're going to all these trainings. You're saying, I went to this board meeting training and they told me the roles and responsibility of the board, but I'm not clear who should be on my board. Who is it? What type of person? What do they bring to the organization? And what can the organization clearly give to them? Because it's relationship. You want to be clear about the expectations that you have from board members, but you also want to be clear about what are the expectation that the board member has from you as an organization. You want to be clear about how to bring about knowledge and awareness in the community, in a population or in a section of your community that's not in the area that you serve. So how do you clearly engage, invite, inform, strategize? Guys, starting your nonprofit process, your passion has got to be made clear. It cannot just be, I'm passionate. It has to be, I'm clear about my role as the leader. I'm clear about my messaging. I'm clear about what people are going to look like when they leave. I'm clear about how to articulate our impact. I'm clear about how much it costs. I'm clear about where the resources and revenue are going to come from. I'm clear about the accounting and the evaluation of my program. These are the elements and the pillars of what makes our industry so important. I can tell you that the community is frustrated to be working with the organizations who are clear that they need money, but aren't clear about how they're articulating impact. Even in engaging with your donors, how are you sharing with them clearly about what their resource has enabled you to do? I believe in this work, and I believe your mission matters. You've got to be clear about your mission, and you've got to be clear about how are you going to fully fund this organization. Clearly, who are the individuals, the agencies, the organizations, the foundations and the funders who are in your community or even abroad who have an interest in what you do and who are on board with what you do? They have the time, they have the resource, they have the availability of time, they have the connections. You want to be clear about how to approach them. You want to be clear about how to receive from them. You want to be clear about how to divulge your plan and your process and involve them in the process as well. Clarity about the change, clarity about your plan. I can tell you that there are 3 reasons that nonprofit organizations fail. Only 3. I believe this, right? And money is not one of them. I always say that money is a fruit of a different root, right? The root is, I'm not clear. I'm not clear about how to lead this organization. I'm not clear about how to get unstuck. I'm not clear about who should be on my board or how to equip them to evangelize on behalf of my organization. I'm not clear how to cultivate relationships. I'm not clear about how to make the ask. I'm not clear about how to follow up to get the second donor. I'm not clear about how to get that grant. I'm not clear about where we're going to be in the next 6 months. I mean, I know where I want to be, but I'm not clear of how to get there. I'm not clear about how to set goals. I'm not clear about how to get the resources. That's why we don't have any money, right? So money is the fruit of lack of clarity. Clarity of plan, clarity of communication, clarity of strategy, clarity of how to be a good partner. Clarity around how to build a relationship and be a partner in that relationship that gives and not only takes, right? Clear about what you are as an essential element of your community and how to articulate that. Clear about what's at stake if your organization does not exist. Clarity. If we're not clear, then how in the ding dang devil, right, are we out engaging, inviting, informing our community about the value of what we bring? We're talking about our activity. We're talking about how much we need. We're begging, basically, right? But we're not beggars. We are an essential element of the community. So number 1 is lack of clarity. Clarity of plan, clarity of communication, clarity of partnership, clarity of role, clarity of strategy and goal. Lack of clarity. I started, I got the piece of paper, I got 3 people on my board, but I don't know what to do next. I'm stuck and I don't know how to get unstuck. Clarity. As a result of that, we have no money, right? The second reason that we struggle is that we're not clear about what it is that our listener, our community, our partners, our collaborators, what do they value in terms of impact? I share all the time about when I was the vice president at the Los Angeles Mission. And we had some very major donors. And one of the donors in particular was very interested in the beds. Right? She was very interested and had lots of questions around the beds. How many people come in and sleep in these beds? How long can they stay in these beds? What happens if they come and they leave and they need to come back? Right? So she had all of these specific questions about the beds. And in her mind, what was impactful to her was that there be safe, secure bed nights. Okay. Her grandson was interested in the meals. He wanted to know how many meals are served every day and how often can they come and get the meals, and do they leave with healthy meals? How much does a meal cost? How many people do you all serve every serving or every week, right? So his interest was meals. So my job in terms of clarity of communication is being clear about what is important and relevant to the donor, to the prospective donor, to the funder, right? I am now speaking about meals because I'm clear that's what she desires the impact. That's her desired impact is around bed nights. So I'm speaking to her about bed nights. I'm speaking to her about bed nights, how safe it is, how we find them, how they come into the facility, what happens as they transition out, when can they come back, what do the beds represent for her? It represents security, it represents cleanliness, it represents community, right? So she was interested in beds. I am articulating and speaking clearly to her about beds. She's interested in that, right? So I'm speaking strategically to her interests. What I find is that many of us speak to our interests. We need a building. We need a bus. We need to hire staff. We need salaries. We need to do this event. We're doing this program. We. But we are a community-based organization. And so our role and opportunity is to engage the community, right? And how do we do that? We speak to the interests of the community. It may not be the same thing, right? It may not be the same thing, but you get to learn that when you have a conversation, right? We're just having a conversation. I'm giving her a tour. I'm letting her know about the program. I'm giving her an opportunity to ask her questions. And as we're having a conversation, I am sharing what she's interested in. What I find is that we start talking about what we're interested in, and we start blasting them based upon what we're interested in, instead of saying, let me communicate with you. Obviously, you're interested in our program. What part or element of our program are you interested in? She was interested in bed nights, right? Her grandson was interested in meals. So now I'm speaking to him about meals. I'm talking to him about preparing the meals. I'm talking to him about buying the food and where the food comes from. I'm talking about the healthy choices that they have. We're talking about, do they get to leave with something in hand if this is their last hearty meal? We're talking about how often do they get to come? We're talking about, do we feed also families? Meals. Impact to him was meals. So I say that we don't have money because we're not articulating to the donor. We're talking about what we want. We're talking about why it's important to us. And we're expecting our community to know how what we do matters to them. Y'all gonna catch that. Y'all gonna catch that. You're gonna learn how to speak about your program in a way that it matters to them. People support what they're interested in, right? And they support it on an ongoing basis if what they're interested in garners a result. We're able to share with her about her bed nights, how many people we're able to serve through the bed nights, and what else we're able to offer them while they're here getting beds. We're able to offer social assistance. We're able to help them with drug and alcohol rehab. We're able to help them with counseling and mentoring while they're here and staying here. We're able to integrate these other program elements while they have a safe place to sleep. And she loved it, and she wanted to support on an ongoing basis, okay? Now her grandson is talking about the meals. I'm speaking to him about the meals and about what a healthy, hearty meal is. And can you imagine not going days, if not longer, without a meal? And if they come and they get a hearty meal, they can eat as much as they want so that this may be their last meal for the day. He's like, I want to be a part of that. I want to make sure that people eat. I think that's important, right? So now he's engaged in our program based upon an element and a part of it that's impactful to him. Guys, I want you to know that money comes. 98% of our donors give because of impact. 98% of our donors give because of impact, not activity. Activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. Activity is not impact. What is impact? Change, result. So you want to be able to articulate your impact, your program impact, your budget impact, your staffing impact. You want to be clear about, as you're speaking to your audience in your community, about why and how they want to be involved with you. Guys, running a nonprofit is fun. You get to talk about what you're passionate about, but you also get to listen to what others are passionate about as it relates to the audience that you're serving. We're not begging, we're serving, we're giving, we're contributing. We have a meaningful role in the community. And funding comes if 98% of our donations come because of impact. I say to you, it's not in the letter that you write, it's what in the letter do you write. What are you articulating in that outreach? What are you saying in that meeting? This is what I do, is I give leaders the clarity to know how to listen and how to articulate. It's in the communication. That's all it is. We've got to introduce ourselves. We got to build relationships. We've got to deepen those relationships. We've got to work. We've got to value those relationships, right? And how do we do this? It starts with communication and articulating clearly. I tell you that I speak with leaders all the time who say, Jen, I feel comfortable. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm begging. I feel like, like I'm using them, or I feel like I'm being disingenuous. And I'm like, listen, we're just having a conversation. We're having a conversation, and we want to learn. What do they know about our subject? What do they know about our audience? What do they know about our community? What do they know about our program? And we want to educate and inspire them. And if they want to join us and be a part of it, then let's clearly let them know what that looks like. Let's clearly invite and involve them and be a part of it. Let's clearly articulate the result of their support of us. Because of you, we've been able to serve an additional 1,000 people. Because of you, we've been able to move people from housing into insecurity to permanent housing. Because of you, right? So we're now sharing with them the impact of their contributions. Impact, guys. If 98% of your donors give because of impact, you want to learn how to articulate impact. All right. And then I say that the third reason that we don't have money, the first one being lack of strategy and plan, not clear what to do. Second is, I'm not clear about the impact and how to articulate that to get the attraction of the donors and the funders and the community, right? The third reason is a founder, a leader who says, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because this is what I've always wanted to do. I'm doing this because I want to give back. I'm doing this because this is what's important to me. And because it's important to you, you've not given the community an opportunity to be a part of the vested interest. You started it with you in mind, and now you're struggling because you're the only one funding it. You started it with your thoughts and not really taking into consideration who else in the community might want to be a part of this. It is a community-based organization, and we are a nonprofit that meets the needs of the community. So involving the community is natural, right? Because when we decide to retire, someone else is going to take over the organization, and we're building a community base that's going to leave a legacy. But if the leader started it and the leader is not open to help, if the leader is not open to suggestions and recommendations, and they feel like it's theirs and theirs alone, and they know what's best, then you're probably going to fund it. Because no one wants to feel like you're only after the money. No one wants to feel like you're only coming to me, but you don't care about my interest. You don't care about what I think about this subject matter. You don't even care about my input. You don't even care enough to say thank you and to cultivate me to come closer to the organization. You don't even care enough to involve me in the organization. You just care about my money. You just care about me giving you something, but you're not involving me. You're not including me. You're not acknowledging me. You're not communicating with me. You're not appreciating me. Money, right? So the things that I do as a professional fundraiser is I help our leaders build an organization with knowing what the change is, and a clear path to get the resources to it. All right? To get the clear path to it, the funding, the partners, the collaborators. Guys, I've been doing this work for 34 years. I have raised hundreds of millions of dollars for nonprofit organizations, and I've written for over $400 million in grants. I think one of the things that makes me unique and so passionate in this cause is that I've also been a nonprofit leader. I've been an executive director and had to wear all the hats. Had to be the executive director, had to be the community relations person, had to be, the person that, that managed the board and selected the board. You want to make sure that you are, if this is your first time doing this work, if you've never done this work before, you really want to make sure that you are guided in the right way. I cannot begin to tell you how many people are frustrated because they can't get real help. You want to get help from someone who can help you and who've been down the road that you're on, and who's gone to heights that you too can achieve. All right. But today we want to talk about clarity. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to talk about the plan, right? So we talked about change. What does change look like? Today we talked about clarity. How clear are you? Would you like clarity? I give my leaders clarity. I give them clarity around how to lead their board. I give them clarity around how to manage the resources in terms of income generation. I give them clarity about their role and opportunity in the community to show that your mission matters. I give you the clarity of being and the confidence of knowing that you're leading for change, and not just for today, but even for the rest of the year. Clarity around where your funds are, clarity around who are your partners and collaborators and how can they be involved. Clarity is going to serve you. When you're having your meetings around strategic planning, clarity of where you want to go and how you're going to get there. Clarity around how long is this going to take and how much money is it going to require. Clarity around where does the money come from. As a professional fundraiser and as a grant writer, I'm daily helping organizations raise the budget that they need so that they can hire the staff to do the work and have clear evaluation process and know that the money that they are spending is clearly making a difference. Okay. Clarity. I want to thank you guys for joining. Listen, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to do so. My website is jdsanddavidyarbrough.com, jdsanddavidyarbrough.com. You're able to inbox me. My email address is jen, at jenthegrantguru.com, jen, at jenthegrantguru.com. I am a professional fundraiser. I am a professional coach and mentor, and I am a master coach. I'm a master coach and mentor for new nonprofit startups. I've walked the journey. I've held every position, and I'm here to ensure that you have the clarity, that you have the knowledge, and that you have the tools and resources that are available so that your organization and your impact is sustainable. Thank you guys for joining Jen's Nonprofit Nuggets. I hope that these nuggets were helpful, and I hope that it gives you an opportunity to really evaluate what you have been clearly doing over the last 6 months, 3 months, and what are you clearly planning to do? What goals are you clearly setting for the next 3 to 6 months coming ahead? Listen, it's coming fast. Be ready, clearly ready. All right. Thanks guys for joining, and we'll see you next time on Nonprofit Nuggets with Jennifer Yarbrough. Bye.